Okay, folks. Hi, it's me, Court. Yankee T News. Gotta love it. All right, I have to apologize for being a bit late tonight. Just a variety of situations. I just have to say, if you look back to the days of Rush Limbaugh, other than when he had his guest announcers on, he was pretty reliable and consistent. Clay and Buck, who've taken over his spot, have had, I would say, family pressures and other things that kind of take away from their ability to be really consistent. So I'm going to say I'm a little bit like Clay and Buck. Sometimes, quote, things come up. So then we count on people tuning in later for all the latest. Now, where to start here? Alan should be joining me soon, I hope. But Jason this time is away on assignment. And what assignments we're going to have. Yes, sir, ladies and gentlemen. I had a very interesting conversation today with a gentleman named James Meyer, and he was giving me a rundown on what the different groups in Connecticut are doing, and it's good to hear because there are so many things that are going wrong in this state, and to have someone like him out there, as well as others, is it's a relief. But in the meantime, I want to really get Iran off my chest. I know it's a constant, annoying theme, but there it is. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I think a pattern is beginning to form now with respect to Iran. And the guiding principle that I'd like people to think about when we talk about Iran is that the things that we don't see, the things that we don't hear that much about, are the things that are doing the most damage to the Islamic regime. Now, an easy thing to pick on is the financial situation. We've had our Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent weighing in on some initiatives that are being done to interfere with Iran, the Islamic regime's ability to acquire money. And so long as we're able to deprive them of getting those ships out of Hormuz, you know what? Quick side note. We have contradictory versions here if you listen to enough of the news. Okay, Alan. The version one is that the Navy is successfully running this blockade and keeping Iranian ships from leaving. The other version is that the ships are getting past the blockade. Well, version 3 is that the new U.S. Navy decides to apprehend these folks out in international waters. So technically, they can get past the blockade, but they're still going to get seized or be forced to turn back, one or the other. So the joke doesn't quite fit, but I think from Hotel California to Hotel Hormuz, ships can get in, but they can't get out. And the other part here that is very important is the fact that the storage facilities at Karg Island are reaching a maximum. Once they do that, then the pumping operations have to be stopped, which is a very costly problem in and of itself. Past that, then you have all these people now who are thrown out of jobs. One person suggests that would be as powerful a message as any to the Iranian people that the Islamic regime is not winning and they're not in charge. So you might see then there'll be growing pressure on the regime to, I would say negotiate, but I'm not in that camp. I'm in the they have got to go camp, every last one of them. However, it becomes an interesting problem when we say they. Which they? Right now, we've identified 4 factions that make up what is supposedly the Islamic regime. One is the IRGC. One is a group, they're actually elected officials caught in this mix. We've got the Speaker of the House. Well, I guess he'd be one of the elected officials. I believe that the other elements of the other army, Artesh, are involved in this. And then there's one other group, which I can't think of right now, but they're all vying for control. And right now, it sounds like the IRGC is the one that has asserted the greatest control most forcefully. All right. Meantime, ladies and gentlemen, I want to invoke what I used for the hashtag tonight, and that is the Underground War. The Underground War is a very low-level, persistent, aggravating, annoying conflict that won't go away. And an example, so I'm still trying to get this thing sorted out. You've got the IRGC, you've got the Quds Force, and you've got, so I think the IRGC is primarily supposed to be international. And then the Quds Force is the domestic version, but then the Bashir group, this is the thug element that goes out and beats people up and terrorizes them. So it's the Bashir group that's been out in the streets with megaphones warning people to stay in, and they'll probably get into a lot of trouble. In spite of that, it is reported somehow it's something like 100 Bashir, what should we say, agents were somehow poisoned, and some number of them have died. I have a feeling somebody's going to try and do that again. All right. It's little things like this that have to give you pause and wonder just what is really going on. In any event, the other argument that people like to make is about how the Islamic regime has chosen the third option, so to speak, which is to stall some more. Well, it doesn't seem to be in their benefit to stall. I mean, if they were thinking of stalling in terms of negotiations, in the meantime, their domestic situation continues to degrade on a daily basis. It's not going to work. All right. So what does that leave you with? I think, but what it can leave us with is a thuggish regime, which is going to be even more desperate, more violent. It's going to lash out more. And I just, something more has to be done in order to deal with them. Now, in the meantime, for what it's worth, I just want to throw in as well this account from Tausi TV about Pahlavi walking through Berlin, and he was attacked by some guy with some kind of orange paint. Now, thank God it was just orange paint. And when you watch the video clips, you could see that if the guy had a gun, he could have easily killed Pahlavi, easily. So his security situation needs some serious upgrades and improvement. And I'm sure they're having that discussion. So thank God it was just a guy who wanted to spray him with paint. So you have that's an example of how the situation is getting worse in some respects. But in the meantime, the other part that we still, I mentioned this last night, and it kind of bugs me. The Trump administration, in my opinion, has been a little inconsistent with respect to how they've characterized operations in the Strait of Hormuz. And the bottom line is that the Iranian Navy is still a functioning threat here. Alan is here. All right, Alan. Dude, how you doing?
All right, good evening.
Right, I hear the Stanford noise in the background.
Yes.
Stanford, yes. All right, so anyway, I was just talking about the Strait of Hormuz, and I'm not really pleased with how the government has represented its efforts to clear the mines out of the Strait of Hormuz. They've kind of waffled, in my opinion. I don't know. Do you have an opinion on the subject?
Not really, but I do see waffling. That's the way this whole thing is going to go. Again, it's like, well, you can't have nukes at all. Well, we want nukes. Well, okay, you can't have nukes for 20 years. Well, we want nukes now. Okay, you can have a little bit of nukes.
Yeah, right, yes.
And this is going to be what it is. You can't be in charge of the Straits of Hormuz. Well, we're going to block it. Well, then we're going to block your block. Well, we'll block your block.
Right, there you go, and on it goes.
This is unfortunately being handled as diplomacy by Yosemite Sam right now.
Well,
I
that's a
dare
good
you
one.
to cross this line.
Right? Yeah. Oh,
Okay, well, I dare you to cross this line.
that's a good one. Yes, I love it. Yes. All right. Well, okay. So we see it that way, um, but uh, there's the indecisiveness. There is. I mean, I'm going to go back to the mind laying stuff again. To come
I
out and
suspect.
say, you know, so they say, to say it's going to take 6 months suddenly. I mean, what took them so long to say it was going to take 6 months? To me, it reveals that they didn't really understand the situation. And this is
Probably, but I think that's the whole deal with this Iran. This whole action is something we didn't really we understood the need. Don't get me wrong.
right.
We know that they were. I mean, look, we have been in an undeclared war with Iran since at least '78.
Okay.
So we understood the need. We know they've been sponsoring terrorism. We know they've been sponsoring attacks here. We know they've been funding those who hate us. We know that they scream in their legislature death to America. So we knew this was going to come, whether it came now or later. We knew it was going to happen at some point.
All right. Well, then that said,
That being said, I don't think we understood what was involved here.
right. This is what I don't understand. All this time, I mean, to me, I proudly point to the Naval War College in Newport, Rhode Island, and pointing out how, you know, for them it's a science how they're constantly wargaming things, and they would have wargamed the Strait of Hormuz to it fairly well and understood what they were dealing with.
But you know what? No battle plan survives
the first bullet. Yes,
I was going to say survives encounter with the enemy.
Okay.
Did we know they were going to mine it? Did we know how many mines? Did we know what kind of mines?
But they've already done this before.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a surprise. And then all right, so you've got that part. And then the other part is when you sit down and analyze the capabilities of these what I call bug boats. Right? You know, by the way, trivia question. Do you know where those boats were actually manufactured?
No, I don't.
Sweden.
Okay.
They put in a huge order for thousands of these boats to be made in Sweden. AKA the Swedes are pretty good at that stuff. I mean,
they've been doing boats and mostly for fishing, but they've been doing boats for years.
Yeah. Well, little known fact, they put all right. There's a type of. I'm going to go through the thing. There are different forms of propulsion for submarines. Okay, and what they share in common is a problem with making noise. So it's taken years and a lot of effort to find ways to make, especially nuclear submarines, as quiet as possible. Okay, so the Swedes decide to use what we'll call a novel form of propulsion called a Stirling engine. Do you happen to know what a Stirling engine is?
No, I don't.
Yes, it's the opposite of an internal combustion engine. It's an external combustion engine.
Okay.
But the way it works is on a heat gradient. All right. I wish I stumbled into this. I could use some graphic help here, but the point is that you can think of a chamber, and you have a heat gradient inside the chamber, but the piston also goes outside the chamber, and you can have, say, steam on one end that then produces enough force to push the piston in one direction, but because it cools off, now it comes back again, heats up and pushes, cools off and goes back, heats up. So that would be as simple a description as I can come up with for a Stirling engine. The Swedish Navy made a submarine using Stirling engine propulsion, which is an absolute first. Nobody, I mean, there are boats that could use Stirling, and they're not very impressive, and they don't go fast, but they talk about quiet. The U.S. Navy actually put in a little request to the Swedish Navy. Could we borrow that submarine for a few weeks, send it over to San Diego, and let our sonar boys get a study of it. So I don't know if they're ever able to work up a profile where they could identify it underwater, but it just reflects how I'm just using it a moment to boast about Swedish technology. Okay, they're that good at this stuff. So yeah, so that they could do something like that. They're able to make these boats in the what is the Gripen fighter, very respectable fighter plane. Just trying to think. I'm sure there's a range of things. So their capacity for military technology is pretty good, and I think they definitely punch above their weight when it comes to innovation and engineering. So that's just my take on them. And so here are all these Swedish boats, and I don't understand why President Trump chose to ignore these boats. They should have been high on the list for strikes of one kind or another, because you can see the problems they can cause, and they were already started causing them just with a few of them. So why weren't they a higher priority?
Well, it's because we don't really think about these things.
I guess that sounds like the only logical answer to me. It's bizarre. But anyway, so there they are. You're going to see these craft. They've got missiles. They've got drones. They've got other weapons. And they're going to go out there and try and cause what trouble they can. So that said, I want to add as another thing. So here was this one video clip. It's like a propaganda piece by the Islamic regime, where they had these guys going out on one of these bug boats to take over this tanker. It was called the Francesca, I think. It's a Panamanian tanker. But the thing that is weird to me is they had the ladders already there. It shows this tiny little boat coming up by the hull next to where the ladder is, and they're climbing onto the ship. Well, who put the ladder down there? I'd never put a ladder down there. Just saying. Yeah, just saying. But anyway, that's what it was. So it shows them climbing up the ladder. They're wearing hoods. They got the guns, and now they do their own little song and dance about how you take over a ship. Right, and it was some people were making fun of it. They didn't look, quote, that professional, but it was done. They took the ship, and so the other part that's confusing is that they took two of the ships, damaged a third that is supposedly still adrift in the Strait of Hormuz. Not a good thing. And so where are we in the middle of all of this? Okay. So on the one hand, just to make the point, if they decide to fire something at the U.S. Navy, that'll be the last thing they ever do. But on the other hand, why are we tolerating this?
You're right.
And it's bugging me. I don't understand it. But hey, I don't know how to play 5-dimensional chess. Just saying.
Nobody does.
Yeah, well, there's one person who does.
I doubt it.
No, you don't think that Trump knows what he's doing?
No, I think he does. I just don't believe in this. Look, 3-dimensional chess was a Star Trek reference. 4-dimensional, now it's 5-dimensional. Eventually, Eventually, the cult will say he's playing 6-dimensional chess.
Yeah. Well, just to get geometric on you for a while, so long as you can define additional planes, you have additional boards, and if those boards can intersect in some fashion, then that's how many dimensions of chess you can have.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So just saying. So pick your number. Anyway, now I'm going to get really weird. Totally unrelated. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get right back. Where is Jason? Jason is out serving papers, and he's out there late tonight. So he doesn't know if he can get back in time, but he'll try. So it's going to be Alan and me carrying the load. That's right. So anyway, totally unrelated. The biology in me has got to speak up. I am fascinated. I'm amazed. I am confused by the story about how in the waters of Indonesia, there is a shrimp and their visual system can polarize light on 5 planes. Okay, you get polarized glasses you buy at the store. That's just one plane of polarization. What would we like to have glasses that polarize on 5 different planes, not just one? That's wild. And by the way, and 2 of those 5 planes are for mating. I gotta figure out what that's about. Yeah, so I just had to throw that in there. Anyway, all right. So what will the next few days bring here as we look at what's happening in Iran? We've had, oh, by the way, I am so annoyed with the press, so annoyed. It was 2 nights ago. All right, I don't know if you were here for this, but Jason and I were carrying on, maybe you were, about the fact that no sooner had Trump said, we're extending the ceasefire indefinitely, than the Islamic regime turned around and rejected the extension.
Of course.
Okay, well, you can say, of course, and I can say, of course, but if you tuned into Fox or CNN or any of these other losers, they did not pick up on the Iranian regime rejecting the ceasefire extension. They didn't say anything about it. What the hell?
That's because they weren't told to say anything about it.
Yeah, it gets pretty stupid. I mean, what?
How about the fact that just tonight was the first time I got in a Google News alert, and it was maybe 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
About the grand jury indictment of the SPLC.
As if this was breaking news.
Or as if we just simply weren't going to be calling it.
Weren't going to be calling it? What do you
right,
mean?
Like we're just not going to discuss that because that's not the agenda.
Okay.
The news does what they're told to do. We have a government news source.
Okay.
We have several government networks. There are no independent news sources anymore except for people on YouTube and other sources like this.
Yeah, like this, exactly. I mean, it just gets me. But that said, you find all these different pieces of information. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sitting there trying to connect dots. Does this dot go with this dot? The Bob? Wait, what do we do with this other dot over here?
Let me see if I can find the account I'm looking for.
All right. What account is that? Let's see. Eric is, what's this? Harebe Village. Oh, Eric, what are you doing?
He was replying to me. You were talking about multiple planes, so I simply posted the plane, boss.
Oh, what's Harebe Village as?
He was the actor who played Tattoo. That was his catchphrase.
Okay. All right. Talk about derivative humor. My God. You guys are nuts. All right. Anyway. All right. So I brought up mentioned the explosions. Nobody said anything about the explosions. Nobody said, and the other thing, by the way, where there is consistency, where you can connect some dots, is after the Islamic regime rejected the extension of the ceasefire, they attacked the Kurds again. Okay. And then we had these explosions, and then there was some other attack. And so I guess their position is due to other things in the Straits as well. So in that regard, there's consistency. And so can we just look at this a little bit? Because you have so many people talking about what a great job the American military is doing and the federal government, and I believe it. But there's something to be said for when you have these elements of the Islamic regime finding ways to, quote, fight back. Maybe they're weak punches, maybe they're ineffectual, but the thing you can't help but notice is they tend to be connected. And by the way, since we're talking about connected, what about that shipment that was intercepted? The one that had all the stuff from China? Anybody? Any takers? No?
Come on, we would never get anything from China. Come on.
Yeah, no. All right, well, here's the thing. This is the problem. If you have the Chinese government is deciding to, from one point of view, send their crap, okay, these electronic components and other things for radar systems, missile defense, and other things to Iran. All right, just here, take it. We want to get rid of it. Or they certainly believe that they could kill more Americans and waste more of our time and money by helping out the Iranians this way. Okay, But
Yeah.
in doing that, ladies and gentlemen, here's the thing that should make you stop and go, wait a second. Do the Chinese see something that we don't see as far as the quote remaining capabilities of the Islamic regime are concerned? They have a little bit more fight in them. They're able to make more drones. They're going to be able to push back. And so in their stalling, it is to their advantage as much as it is to ours for different reasons.
Yeah.
Is that what we're looking at? So, I mean, that's what I want to throw out there for consideration. I mean, what if Iran was a lost cause? Why would China send all this stuff? Okay. And what was the other one I like to bring up all the time? Perchlorate. It's used as to make a rocket fuel. Okay, so let's connect some other dots, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Supposedly their missile capability has been reduced, but they would still have some. So what do we have here? 2 clips. Are you ready? 2 clips. The first shows a rally in this revolutionary square in Tehran, and they're all rallying around what sure looks to me like a big ballistic missile sitting there, and it's got a map on it, and the map is for I think for the UAE, if I remember correctly. I'd have to double check. But so the message is, yeah, we're going to take this here missile and send it over there. But it's a big missile. I thought we got rid of these things. All right, so that's one. Okay, clip number 2. Shout out again to Tausi.tv.
Tausie's a good guy.
Was it? Maybe it was Tausi. It might have been Vice News, one or the other. In any event, so you're inside this facility, and it shows this guy with a spray gun for paint, and he's painting this huge missile the color blue because somebody said the soldiers were thinking of the boys. Yes, we're concerned about the boys, so we like the color blue. And so, yes, comrade, or whatever you say, brother, we'll paint this missile blue in memory of them. And so there he is painting this missile blue. What's that? What are they doing? I admit I might just be a little bit confused here. But there's another big missile. That's 2 big missiles we were looking at. Well,
yeah.
Well, okay. So I'm sorry. To what extent are we being bullshitted about what remaining capabilities the Islamic regime has? All right. Now, I'll point out the obvious part of the underground war theme here is that, yes, you have all kinds of people now on the ground acting as spies in one capacity or another on behalf of whatever resistance is forming. And yes, Prince Pahlavi has been saying more about how the people need to work together. Yes, all that is true, okay? And what's the other thing? Not the weapons. Darn, it just went out of my head. It'll come back. So the point is that there are all these things that are kind of slowly knitting together, and it might turn into something, but boy, sure don't see it now. And then it could be because I'm being impatient. I'm guilty of that. You know, I'd like to see quicker results, and maybe I'm being impractical and unrealistic in that regard. Okay, there's a notion. So for you folks who are listening, I just want to share this other image. So you imagine that the Islamic regime has, quote, any person who has an accident and they stop breathing. Okay, yep. How much time before permanent damage sets in? About 4 minutes, I believe, 5 minutes.
Probably.
Something on that order. Okay. Well, there's sort of an analogy here, or a connection, similarity with respect to a nation. If you've knocked a nation out and the nation stops breathing, how long have they got before things start to fall apart? Days? But
do nations ever truly stop breathing?
I would say if it's about the, quote, government, yes. If they don't have any money, how are they going to function? They can't pay anybody. They can't buy anything.
Well, but look at the countries we think we're knocking out, and then they just reform with something new.
Any examples?
I mean, we keep thinking we're knocking out Iran's government, but oh no, well, we got another Ayatollah.
Well, I don't know about that. No, instead of another Ayatollah, we clearly see this. I mean, the idiocy. You followed what happened with the peace talks, so-called peace talks in Islamabad, right? Remember?
Yeah.
Okay, you had the first group that showed up. Those were the appeasers. The hardliners didn't trust the appeasers, so they sent another delegation to watch over the first delegation.
Right. But you know who I blame for that? I blame for the people running the talks. I blame us. We could have simply got up and said, we're going to walk out and we'll sit down when there's one delegation. We're not sitting here with two delegations.
Well, that's Trump's message now, right? As part of the unlimited ceasefire. He says the ceasefire will be over once you guys get your act together, which is kind of a weird condition, but okay.
Right, but here's the problem. We say the ceasefire will be over if they get their act together. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but they don't say the ceasefire is over, so that means we're going to sit here not shooting at them, and they're going to sit here shooting at us, and we're going to go, but we don't understand. There was a ceasefire. Yeah. We said we were going to keep this ceasefire in place until you stopped shooting.
Your cynical observation has some merit to it, Captain Shaw, but I would like to add that there is a certain amount of, I want to call it counter strategy.
Okay.
Going on here, right? We're collecting intelligence. We're watching their movements from the skies. And the other thing is, when you let, quote, the enemy do things like this, you're learning about how they do things. You're learning important things like how long it takes for them to respond. Okay, and then you look at how they dispose their manpower. Right, what kind of weapons do they use? This is all very useful intelligence. And then what are we learning as they're digging into the tunnels and trying to recover equipment? Okay, so we still have the upper hand, obviously. But then how do you use that upper hand, right? And I think that's going to come from collecting this kind of information over weeks, probably.
I just suspect we're going to be left holding the bag with this, that Israel convinced us they were going to help, and then, it's really more of an American thing.
No, well, I'm going to disagree on the grounds that Israel looks upon Iran as an existential threat. There is no other nation that represents a greater existential threat.
Oh, no, I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, they've been, quote, distracted by fighting in Hezbollah. And by the way, the Hezbollah in Lebanon, you know what's happened over the last few weeks?
No.
The IRGC has gone into Lebanon to reconstitute Hezbollah, training them up, supplying them. So that whole, terrorist proxy thing, it ain't over. It ain't over.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So when the Israelis said, okay, we got to bomb these Hezbollah guys, they're also bombing IRGC guys at the same time in Lebanon. All right. So all of this said, we've at least, all right, speaking for myself, I've sat there and watched Israel and go, well, guys, don't you think you could help the Kurds out a little bit more or something? I mean, couldn't you? I mean, you've got, what is it? All these reservists. You got quite a few active troops. Can't you spare some number of these people? You've got Mossad on the ground running all kinds of operations. Isn't this the opportunity to put some more muscle behind those operations? At least that's kind of how I would see it. And well, maybe they're doing something, not what we're thinking about. I could appreciate that. But it's no, at some point it's every inch. See, all right, in my mind, all right. They have to tell themselves at some point, this is what we're going to do with Lebanon and Hezbollah, and that's all we can do right now. Now, whatever resources we have, you're going to have to peel them off and start dealing at least with the northwest corner of Iran and Tehran in some fashion. Whatever, that's me, the armchair expert, okay, coming up with his take on the situation.
Yeah.
All right. Then what?
We don't know.
All right. Well, maybe we need to talk about Connecticut now.
Well, let's see. We've got Connecticut that, the Constitution state without a constitution.
You're going to make me cry. Yeah. Anyway,
I was involved with a brief discussion today talking about, is there any point in public testimony in bills?
Yeah. After what they've done now with the homeschooling bill, yes.
But it's not even now. I mean, it's funny. I almost by accident testified a couple of years ago on a bill on electric vehicle mandates.
Mm-hmm.
And my testimony actually got picked up by News 12. Okay,
good. There you go.
There were probably about a little over 400 people who testified.
400.
It was about an 80-20 split, 80 against the mandate, 20 in favor of the mandates. The bill passed because the legislature does not care what the people say. They do not care what the people want. Mm-hmm. And now they just declared an emergency and said, we don't have time to listen to the public. We know what we're going to do anyway.
This is insane. So
apparently, Mini Bloomberg was on his phone for the as one podcast I was watching today.
Yeah,
said that for the Glock ban, he was there for about 15% of the testimony.
Yep,
and was on his phone during the entire testimony because it doesn't matter what people say. He knows how he's voting already.
All right. So where does this leave us? I mean, we cannot sit on our ass. That's good for openers. So, for what it's worth, let just to set it up. So you had last May, right, in the legislative building, something on the order of around 2,000 or more people who showed up to testify against the legislative initiative back then against homeschooling. Remember that?
Yep.
Huge. Whole place is filled up. And that was enough to make them back off. But then Corey Paris pulled a stunt in September with this phony story about this woman who had abused her son and claimed that homeschooling had something to do with it. Insane. But no, they kept pounding away. Now we fast forward to, when these bills started to come out for this session. And now we're being fed the same crap. What?
Well, and here's the thing. That case, which was the Waterbury case that they were talking about, where the guy was held essentially hostage for 20-some-odd years.
Right.
The state once again dropped the ball with this. DCF claimed they'd never been notified. Only here's the interesting thing. The news was able to immediately find the elementary school principal, who's now retired, who was able to say, yes, I called DCF several times about this kid.
Mm-hmm.
DCF did nothing.
Right. That should be the whole center of this discussion. That's where the blame lays. And yes, so you have that. And so here you have this stone-faced legislature that won't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's something deeply, seriously wrong here. And I'm not sure, we're left with some very hard choices. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be the nice guys, right? We're not like those nasty.
Why are we the nice guys?
Yeah, we're not like those nasty liberals doxing everybody, knocking on their doors, sitting on their doorsteps. We're not like them. Well, maybe we have to be like them and worse.
Well, again, why are we being the nice guys? Why are we worried about whether we upset the opposition or not?
Because that's the kind of people we are. We're so moral. We're so considerate. We have respect.
Like John Thune, who considers what Chuck Schumer wants to do.
Yeah.
But he never considers what Donald Trump wants to do.
Yeah. So, and then, all right, just to throw it on top there, okay, all the stuff about election fraud. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you have been following this, but...
Well, election fraud has now been codified in Connecticut.
Which part? The absentee ballot stuff? Yeah.
Unlimited absentee ballots. Let's give Wanda a bigger box.
All right, that's a good one. Yes. Well, it's not just that. I mean, so the way they've defined absentee ballots now, they're no different from mail-in ballots.
Right.
So, all right. So all the principles of abuse are in place so that fraud can be committed all over again. And by the way, speaking of mail-in balloting, don't you remember what President Trump said about what happened in Virginia?
No.
Well, yeah, no. He in his one of his True Social posts, he puts out that this vote in Virginia was rigged because guess what? Up until the last minute, the Republicans were ahead, and all of a sudden there was this huge dump of mail-in ballots.
Yeah.
Nobody's done anything about this. We know what the crap is. We know what their playbook is, and still we let them get away with it.
Because we're being nice.
What's the problem?
We know that guy with a knife who keeps repeatedly sticking that knife into my chest is going to kill me, but I'm being nice. And it's really about his feelings and how he feels stabbing me.
Sure seems like it. All right, so here's the other part. Steve Bannon. I mean, have you been watching War Room at all?
No, I have not.
All right, everybody out there, warroom.org, warroom.org, mandatory viewing, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to noon. You got to watch him. Now, that said, I'm sorry, Steve. There are places where, you know what, sometimes even you get a little bit behind. It's like you focused on a certain way of thinking. You think you have the right answer, and then there's no reason to explore the idea. There's no reason to reposition in different ways. That's okay. Eventually you will. I believe it. Okay. So what was the point that I was making about Steve? He reminds us time and time again, the Democrats play smash mouth politics.
Okay.
All right. The thing is, the Democrats have taken over so much in Connecticut, they don't need to play smash mouth politics. All they have to do is growl a little bit, and everybody goes, You know, I just. So here's the thing. If we cannot do the things that need to be done at the grassroots level to build out the kind of presence, for lack of a better word, that is needed, okay, so we can convert enough people to vote Republican, then what are we going to do? Okay? There has to be, in my mind at least, some kind of a plan B here. We've been around and round in this so many times. Look, let me just digress slightly here, all right? So, sorry, folks. Here you're going to get a little bit of some inside baseball. If you are not members of the conservative movement in Connecticut, you're about to get some gossip. So here we go. There are 4 people in Connecticut who are the leaders, if you will, as we see them, with respect to dealing with election fraud. So in no particular, well, actually, I should give the first rank to Linda Sinkowitz, okay? Linda started fighting this back in 2018. So as far as I'm concerned, she's the queen mother of fighting election fraud in Connecticut. And she's had quite a few people work with her. She continues to do what she does.
As long as you agree not to tell anybody what you found.
Now, that's unfair. That's unfair because she... all right. I'm okay. Look, I'm one of the ones who signed that NDA, okay, to work with. Okay. So I feel compelled to limit what comments I would make. There's just that what she's working on is so important. Okay. And if you go to her website, you find all kinds of information that should give you a sense of the history of what she's done since 2018. Okay. Now, I have to bring up another name. Her name is Linda D'Alessio. Have you heard of her?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. So she's on Facebook quite a bit. I think she actually, her handle, believe it or not, is Commie for CT on X.
Oh, okay. Wait. Yes.
At Commie for CT.
Yep. Nope.
Right. And
we follow each other.
All right, so she quite frequently puts up that flyer that shows all those illegal votes that are either registered or have been cast in Connecticut. The magic number is around 250,000. Okay, so it's a fair question. How many elections should have gone to the Republicans that went to the Democrats because of those 250,000 illegal votes? It's substantial.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. But, I mean, she keeps putting the numbers up. I can sit here and repeat them all night long. You can tell your friends. I'll tell my friends. Okay. Send a little note to our friends in the legislature. Nothing. Okay. Nothing. It just doesn't matter. Tell Stephanie Thomas, the so-called Secretary of State, partisan hack that she is. Nothing. All right. So we have to find something. Find something that works. And I've been racking my brains, and I'm still racking my brains. And so that's Linda D'Alessio. So she puts that out there. Then there's a woman named Jennifer Damon who works with Unite for Freedom. So that's another national organization. So she's been kind of acting as a liaison here in Connecticut. And then the last one, I hope I get it right, is Anne Marie Brousseau. I've met her a few times. If I've hackneyed her name, I apologize. So she is working with Mike Lindell. You know Mike Lindell, right?
Yes.
The pillow guy. All right.
Yes.
So his thing has been to call for doing everything by paper ballots and counting by paper ballots. So she's working with others to get people to be trained to count paper ballots. So it is kind of strange, right? Because we know that paper ballots are a part of the system in Connecticut. So we're talking about doing away with the mechanical part, which I think makes a lot of sense. So that's another discussion. Okay, so all right, so Linda Sinkowitz, Linda D'Alessio, Jennifer Damon, and Anne Marie Brousseau. So these are four people, four different groups, all working on election fraud. All
okay.
Right? And I don't know what to say about how effective they're being. Okay, but there they are. And,
but again, the problem is in Connecticut, you could identify the problem. You could have sworn statements, people saying, yes, I committed election fraud. And the legislature will turn around and say, sounds like a good idea to us.
Yeah, sure does. Yes, well, all we have to do is look at all the crap that happened around Wanda Sykes.
Not Wanda Sykes, that's the comedian. You're thinking Wanda Jeter Pataki.
Oh, thank you. Wanda Jeter Pataki. Wanda Jeter. Oh, my friggin', did you follow any of the discussion that the state Supreme Court was having when her case was finally brought before them?
No.
Oh, you would have been disgusted, thoroughly disgusted.
I'm disgusted by anything the state Supreme Court does. Andrew McDonald, who does not believe in the First Amendment, was made a justice on that court.
Right. So, yeah, well, here they are. Just one more example of the people who make up the system in Connecticut that only serves keeping Democrats in power, and everything else means nothing. But in the process of staying in power, they're getting crazier and crazier. They want more power. They want more control. They want to take away more of your rights. And we're just kind of sitting here taking it to some extent. I mean, a testimony of 7,000 people against what they want to do with homeschooling is pretty substantial. But that they would even ignore that, it's like, right. So, I'm thinking of that movie with Jim Carrey. Was it called The Mask?
Yeah, that's one of his. Yeah.
And there was this famous scene where he would put the mask on, he's swirling around, acting crazy, and then he suddenly says, "Somebody stop me."
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's the way the Democrats are acting in the states. Somebody stop me.
But they don't actually want to be stopped.
Well, it's a taunt, okay, and a challenge. All right, you're being pushed in the face because they know that they can, under these circumstances, they can keep getting away with this crap. Yeah, there's got to be something. I mean, I just I'm just going to keep on repeating myself. Maybe we need to talk about something else for now. I don't know. There's the debate. We talked about that. The debate that's going to be on May 8th for the
Yes.
gubernatorial candidates.
By the way, that's what I was going to bring up, and I was hoping Jason would be here tonight to talk about it. There is going to be another debate.
Yeah. When?
It's not in an actual debate form. This is the interesting thing, and I don't know whether it's going to be video. But there is a YouTube channel called the Lock and Load Podcast. Now, they've had Ryan Fazio on a couple of times.
Okay.
It is a Second Amendment podcast based in Connecticut.
Okay.
They are advertising on YouTube that they are doing a debate, I believe, on the 27th.
Okay.
Between Fazio and Stewart. Now, I did a little digging in. I did a little digging.
Okay, hold on.
It's not a true debate.
There you go. Yes.
It was, or what it is they asked the two of them the same questions. They are going to be put. I don't know whether they've got them on video doing it or how they're doing it, but they are going to have them answer. They'll ask the question and then they'll put up the two answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They are doing it as a video of a debate. I honestly don't know whether it is how they're doing it because I don't think it's going to be live with the actual people.
Yeah, something about it's not right. But yes. So for the audience, I just want to remind you that we will be sending Erin Stewart a very clear message because right now she's the only one who has refused to join the debate on May 8th at the Pine Loft in Berlin.
Now, has she actually refused or has she just decided, just not acknowledged it?
Well, I would say because we've made enough noise, it's hard for her to not acknowledge it.
Oh, no, I agree. But,
yes.
You know, I just wonder if this is something, if she figures if she stays silent, will go away.
No, that's not happening. And it's not happening for the following reason. So we found a couple of printers who will make a life-size cutout of Erin, full color. Right. And so basically, I will have that in my arm. So I'll be cuddling with Erin, cutout, and I will be reminding her in various ways that there are two possibilities. Possibility number one is that you will be at the debate on May 8th, or this cutout of you will be at the debate on May 8th.
See, I'm not sure we need to publicize that.
Heck. Yeah.
I think what we do is, look, she's been invited. If she doesn't show up, then, because here's the other thing. I can picture a time when the other two candidates may not be willing to debate if they are on a stage with a cardboard cutout. They may see that as...
Oh, please. No. I disagree.
But that being said, we could always do some creative editing. Candidate 1, what do you think about this issue? And they answer. Candidate 2, what do you think about this issue? Right. Candidate 3, what do you think about this issue? And then we just cut to the cardboard cutout. It doesn't even have to be in the same room. We could run a 2-camera setup if we have to.
All right, that's all possible. But yes, so this is how I expect to, quote, run this part of the problem. And so, yes, I am, in effect, encouraging her to show up so we don't have to use the cutout. But if she doesn't, we will, and we will milk it for all that it's worth. I mean, I'm just, by the way, I don't know if I can find it here. Where did it go? She came out several weeks ago with this paper, and the title of it was Conservative News. Did you see it? Where did I put it? No, you didn't see it? Okay, well,
no.
All right. I thought I might still have it lying around here, but I don't. Sorry, folks. Anyway, so it's made as a newspaper, and it says Conservative News, and then you see her picture. Now, look, anybody who knows anything about Erin Stewart knows that She is not a conservative.
Nope.
Right? And for your benefit, folks out there listening, it is true. There is a photograph of her where she posed with a big smiling face next to Barack Obama. I'm sorry. There is no self-respecting Republican in this world who would ever do such a thing, but she did. So she is not a self-respecting Republican. I'm going to say it. What do you think, Alan? Should I call her a Republican
100%.
whore? A Republican?
But when you've got a party chairman who denies Trump and says, well, Trump didn't, when he said fight, what he meant was sit on your hands and not fight.
Yeah, well, this is just demented.
And then all of a sudden, once enough people started going to the Trump campaign and saying, hey, what's with this guy in Connecticut saying you said not to fight? He must have got a phone call because the next thing you know, he's like, oh, well, see, when I said he didn't want to fight, I was tired. You remember that? That was Ben's excuse. I'd given 3 interviews in one day. Okay.
Well, let's just say it. No, I'm not fat shaming him, but he is a little out of shape.
I don't think an interview requires a whole lot, especially since, let's face it, if I gave an interview about an issue, doesn't matter what the issue is, to NBC, and then ABC calls up and says, hey, we'd like to interview you about that issue, how different are my answers going to be?
Well, that leads to a question I need to ask. Which will tire you out more, telling the truth or lying?
Well, as they said on The Simpsons once, it takes 2 people to lie, one to tell the lie and the other to listen.
Yeah, okay, right. Yeah, so I would say that he's exhausted by lying. He's using up too much mental energy to keep everything straight in his head and just waiting for it to fall apart. Yeah, I don't know. You know, there's another part. I mean, I just to say it. Look, if there were enough people in the state of Connecticut who call themselves Republicans and believe in being Republican, we would see something better than what we have in front of us right now.
Well, I mean, there's enough of us, but again, the problem is, I've said this before, Republicans are not joiners.
Have to be. Well,
we do, but we're not. It's in our very nature. It's when we talk about individual liberty, we are 100% into our individualism.
Yeah, no, yes, yeah, I know, we've talked about
so
this.
If you form a group called the Really Cool Republican Club, I'm not going to join that club because it's not my club. So I'm going to form the Even Cooler Republican Club. And meanwhile, we're going to sit here in our clubs of one, wondering why no one comes to our meetings.
Well, it might be because you're not doing a good job of promoting the group.
I don't want to promote it because I don't want those other people in my club. I mean, it's my club.
Yeah. Where do I want to go with this? This raises another question. We know there are a lot of openings in the Republican town committees. To this day, a lot of them remain unfilled. Right?
Yeah.
Is it just as bad with the Democrat town committees, or do they all have waiting lists?
No, because they're joiners. They want to join. And they want to get together. They want to come together. As a matter of fact, they don't even care if they agree. They'll get together.
Yeah.
That's why when we have a rally, we have other Republicans standing across the street taking notes on who we are. When they have a rally, they'll get people that don't agree with each other on damn near anything other than Orange Man Bad, and they'll march there with drums and
yeah. Anyway, just to mention it, by the way, let's see, where did it go? On Saturday, April 25th. Is that right?
Okay.
Thursday. So yes. All right. So I'm pretty sure that this coming Saturday, there's going to be a rally, a Trump rally in Prospect, Connecticut.
Wow.
Do you remember the group there?
Prospect? I don't think so.
Yeah. So it's kind of, this is a group kind of in its own right. And It was started by a woman named Deb Thomas and a friend of hers. And
I think I remember her name.
yes, so it was like December, okay, of 2020. And she and a bunch of people who were as angry as could be with the election results, knowing it was fraudulent, would not accept the results. And as far as they were concerned, Trump had won.
Okay.
So what they did was they found this green strategically placed in front of the town hall in Prospect, Connecticut, and they set up shop there. And every Saturday for the next 2 years, almost without fail, come rain, snow, shine, it didn't matter. They stood out there and they waved their flags and they waved to the people and they had their signs declaring that Trump had won. They had guys playing music. They had I somewhere I've got some old videos of some people dancing there. It was kind of cute. And so that lasted for about 2 years. But then Deb and this other woman had a falling out, and that weakened them considerably. And they kept trying to meet, but it was slowly falling apart. So by the time we got to, say, 2023, this group was pretty much done. But now they've been revived. They're making a comeback. They're going to be demonstrating or rallying once again in the same place in Prospect this Saturday. So it's going to be quite interesting. So all you folks, just take a look just show up, drive up to Prospect, Connecticut between 12 and 3 on that Saturday, April 25th. And you never know who or what you're going to see, but be prepared to honk your horn.
Well, I would assume if they're up there, I would assume Palin Smith will be up there.
Well, he had originally interacted with Deb, but they didn't get along with each other.
Right. Again, we're Republicans. We don't join each other's groups. Yeah. So we'll have Trump for Connecticut and Connecticut for Trump.
Okay. What a thought. What a thought. Anyway, let's see. I just want to take one last.
April 25th is also Anzac Day.
Anzac.
That is in this country an obscure holiday, but it is Australia-New Zealand Army Day.
Okay.
And it is the anniversary of the Battle of Tripoli, where hundreds of Australians and New Zealanders were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And it is their number one holiday.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. That's worth noting. Yeah. Anyway, so we've been at this for about an hour here. I guess we can back
we can call it if you'd like.
Yeah. Where did I've lost. Where did we go? Hello. So here we go. This is what I did wrong. There we go. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for listening, folks. And I expect that we'll be back tomorrow night with Jason. And certainly events are moving very quickly.
Yeah, I am not going to be around tomorrow night. So
yeah, what are you going to be doing?
I'll be working tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. All right.
Next 6 nights in a row.
Woo. All right. Always brutal. But you're adapted to it. You've been doing that for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, see you guys later.
Later.
See you guys later. Right.